welcome to We Used to Live Together. I'm Hannah.
I'm Kris.
And we used to live together.
Roomies, I would like to take this moment to formally apologize to my co-host. I'm sorry. I was late.
Okay. It's just like you were hyping me up to get here
I'm
early.
sorry. Was I?
Yes, because we wanted to meet some other podcasters in our network.
Listen.
And you're like, we'll get there early. We'll meet them.
I know. I'm sorry. Here's what happened.
I get here and I'm just like, okay, ETA is 20 minutes. Cool. Dope.
I'm sorry. I should have texted you.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's
It's
okay.
because my head, I went to bed very late.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I woke up late. And I went to bed late because I was watching my show. And I couldn't, it was one of those like one more episode situations, you know? And I couldn't stop. I wanted to go to bed, but I just couldn't. What show do you ask? Attack on Titan.
All I'm asking is just for a text. Like,
I'm sorry.
Hey, running behind. It was radio silence all morning.
I
and
know.
I was like,
because you usually text me
yeah.
on the mornings.
I did text you
No.
at 9.
At 9?
Yeah.
You did?
I said, I'm sending this to you because I want to reference it in the episode.
I'm so sorry. Dude, I got that right when I woke up and I read it. It didn't reger.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's all good.
Roomies, we're fighting.
We're not fighting. Just karma's a bitch and you should have known better.
Wow. What's good, my dude?
And that was a quote from Jojo Siwa.
Your favorite artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Have you ever been to, well, I forgive you. We're fine.
you.
This is going to be an amazing episode.
I'm going to rally so hard right now.
Yeah.
Because when we start talking about some steamy scenes,
Woo-hoo!
oof, my heart will get racing.
We need to calm down. You know what I mean?
I'm glad I'm low energy because
yeah.
this is going to bring us
Yes.
way up.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Have you ever been to an adoption hearing?
Oh, Hannah, don't talk about this right now. Yes, I have.
Because
Oh, God.
I got to see my best friend and her husband adopt the most precious little babies last week.
Gosh.
And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed.
Like, tell me your, like, going into it, you had no idea,
I
right?
had no idea.
You had
I had
never
been to
okay.
one.
Like, what was the energy? What was the vibe?
I mean, it was just,
Excitement.
yeah, just like excitement, all of the emotions, happiness. Like, I was sobbing. Everyone, there wasn't a dry eye in the room.
Right.
The judge was so sweet. The bailiff was so sweet.
Yeah.
They gave the kids little teddy bears.
Oh.
And it was just so sweet, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do this at the start of the episode, but they're all 4 of them: Steph, Ryan, Mason, and Bash. They're all MVRs.
MVRs.
MVRs, most valuable roomies this week.
We love them
because it's so exciting.
I saw the video and the photos. It's just so, like, you can't, like, how could you hate that? Like,
Yeah.
How could you not, like,
Be moved.
yeah, literally, like, how could your heart not go out to them and be
Yeah.
like, wow, what a great, like, moment in their life.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
love it.
So that was a very good.
Yeah.
What's good?
Positive
Yeah.
experience for you. And Lorenzo was crying too?
Lorenzo definitely was tearing up.
Oh.
Yeah. Everyone was like,
Yeah.
seriously, nobody.
I saw, it's funny, like, when in the video, it's just you in the back. You're blurry, but I can tell you are not okay.
Yeah. Steph sent me some pictures and you could see my face just like,
Yeah.
just not okay.
I was like, well, there's Hannah.
And then like Steph had Lorenzo FaceTiming somebody. That's why he's like this.
Oh, I was wondering. I was like, oh, well, he must be recording,
No.
but he was FaceTiming someone else.
Yeah, one
Okay.
of her friends.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cute.
it was really sweet. So shout out to them.
Yeah, that's really nice
Yeah.
for them.
I know. What's good with you, my dude?
Attack on Titan. I've been watching it. I can't get enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the last season. I have 10 episodes left. I'm in that headspace. Again, I'm sorry. I couldn't. Have you ever watched a show where you're like, I can't stop here.
Yeah.
This can't be the last episode before bed. Before you know it, you're going to bed at 3 a.m.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's just, for anyone who has never seen it, I'm not saying you'll like it. I'm just saying it's a great story.
Yeah.
I think you guys should watch it.
Okay.
If you have 100 episodes to spare.
Wow. Okay. That is a commitment.
And that's all I want to say about that, because I don't want to spoil anything. And I'm just saying it's a great show.
Okay. Well,
speaking of
great series.
Speaking of a great series.
We have brought this up multiple times on the pod about talking about this book series. And we're finally going to start. And what we're going to do is kind of like a mini series. And we're going to go book by book. So it'll be a 5-part miniseries. 5-part miniseries. I love a miniseries. I know. I feel like we were trying to do it all in one episode, but I think there's too much.
Yeah,
there's too much.
And we're not even finished with the book series.
Yeah.
At least I'm not.
I'm not. Okay. I'm almost there. I'm not though. But so we are talking about A Court of Thorns. Oh my God.
A Court of Thorns and Roses. A Court of Thorns and Roses. We apologize if you're listening in the UK. We apologize.
I know, so sorry. ACOTAR.
ACOTAR.
By Sarah
J. Maas?
Maas
or Moss.
Whatever.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them.
What's your history with this book?
Well, right at the gate, we are going to be talking about this book in detail.
Oh,
so spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert if you haven't read it.
If you're still reading it, don't listen to this episode.
Skip this miniseries.
This is the first book in the series.
Yes. Okay.
So my history with it is actually people can listen back and hear my history with the book.
Oh, that's right. Did I tell you about it?
I didn't even know it existed until you were like, you should read this book.
Right. Maybe I should start with my history. Okay. My history with this book is my coworker, Kaylee, was like, hey, read this book series. And I was like, why? And she's like, it's all over TikTok and the internet, and it's like the new big thing, and it's like a romance fantasy. And I was like, not really my thing, but I like to read, so I'll give it a shot. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading, and boy, it's not what I expected. I mean, in some ways it was, because it's a fantasy novel, but I think it's the romance stuff that I was like, I don't think I've ever read a romance anything, let alone a romance fantasy. So I was like, it's like 2 parts of me was like, what? I like it, but I don't like it. You know? Not that I don't like the romance part. It was just new to me.
Yeah.
So, and then I talked about it on the pod. I was telling you, I was like, Hannah, you got to read this book because I feel like you would enjoy this. Mm-hmm. So
that day I ordered it on Amazon.
You did? Yeah. And
then I read it within
read it so fast,
2 days.
And then what happened, Hannah?
And then I went to Barnes & Noble. So I finished it in 2 days. I went to Barnes & Noble and bought the other 4 books. So I was walking out of Barnes & Noble, and the cashier knew. She was like, oh, you're starting this journey. And I was like, yeah.
How did you read? How did you get through it so fast?
I don't know. I
Were
had
you
COVID.
Sick?
I had COVID.
Okay.
And then I was just so sick of watching stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I need something else to do.
Yeah.
And just blew through the book. And I it just gives me, it's like the same level of obsession that Twilight gave me. And so I think it was I got so excited to have that feeling again. I was like, I need to know, And I think for me, we always talk about how we want to read more. And I've been in a reading slump. And so it was just cool to be.
That got you out of it. I get texts from Hannah at night and it's like, finish book 2. I was like, bruh, I just talked to you 2 days ago. What?
Yeah, it's just cool to get excited about it again.
No, that's good.
And it's my first romance like this.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, and I've seen a lot of discussion of if it's smut or not.
It's 100%.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I've heard it's
not.
Oh,
you're saying technically, categorically speaking, it's not.
I think people say that the second book can be considered smut, but the first book is not very smutty.
Just very
Yeah. But that was my first time.
I know
reading that.
I had never read explicit sex.
Yeah.
On the page, so I'm like, oh, we can write this.
Yeah, and then even fantasy, I guess Twilight is fantasy, right? Yeah.
Correct.
But this type
Vampire
of
fantasy,
fairy and
this is my first time reading fairy fantasy. I think. Yeah.
And I really doubted it too. I was like, this is not gonna be for me. But wow, was I hooked, and I'm still hooked.
And we're both on book 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to like go into this.
Okay.
Because obviously we're deep in the series.
Right.
So our opinions on characters have changed, right?
So we want to just keep it. Right. Okay.
Where I was mentally when I first read this book.
Okay. So for the purpose of this first episode, we want to put ourselves back into just our book one selves.
Yeah.
And try not to talk too much about. Well, we'll try not to talk at all about like the future stuff because we don't want to spoil that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
cool. Should I I was thinking maybe we like read the back of the book or something.
Please,
should we?
Please. Yeah. Go on.
Okay. When 19-year-old huntress Feyre kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous, magical land she knows about only from legends, Feyre discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least, he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transform from icy hostility to a fiery passion.
Oh, brother.
That burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairylands. An ancient, wicked shadow is growing, and Feyre must find a way to stop it or doom Tamlin and his world forever. We should add some cool fairy music.
I don't think I've ever read the back of the book.
I know.
That was, wow.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought it'd be like a good way to kick it off. So, and then I I don't really know what the audience is going to be like for this if people have already read the book or not read the book.
I mean, it's a pretty popular series, so I'm sure people have at least heard of it.
Yeah. Because I have these little character profiles.
Yes, please.
Because I think it'd be good to just for us too, because we read this
so
book,
long ago.
Yeah, at the end of last year. So it's been a minute. So we have Feyre, who's our main.
Feyre is our main character.
Our main girly.
Yeah.
So she's a 19-year-old huntress and the story's protagonist. Feyre shoulders the responsibility of caring for her father and her two older sisters due to a promise she made to her dying mother. So she's pretty...
First of all, I always forget that she's so young.
Yeah.
19. I was like, wait, that's so... to be doing all that she's doing.
Yes.
And I always thought that she was the middle sister. But it turns out she's the youngest.
Yeah.
So I have to remember to reframe it that she's 19. She's the youngest of three sisters, and her family is poor.
Yes, because her father
lost
all of their
money.
Fortune.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So they used to be rich, and now they're poor.
So now they live in
a shack.
A shack, yeah. And Feyre pretty much just has to provide because her dad got injured.
Right.
So she's out there hunting. Her sisters don't help her.
Right.
So she has to go out, provide food. She's selling fur, right?
Right.
To make money.
Yeah, I don't know why she's the only one who's trying to
take care.
Yeah. Because it's hello, you have to eat.
I know.
And you need clothes.
Well, I know well, I have her sister's descriptions here too. So Nesta. She is
the oldest.
The oldest.
The
yes,
oldest
yes,
sister.
Yes.
Okay.
She is portrayed as jealous, greedy, and cruel, often wearing a sneer on her face. She bears a strong resemblance to her mother, Nesta. Her sisters. And then Elaine, I always want to call Nessa from
Wicked. Nessa. Was that a song?
Nessa.
Yeah.
I've got. Anyway, okay. Elaine is the middle sister. Elaine is kind, but nearly not as clever as Feyre or Nesta. Her gentle, generous, and joyful spirit come not from a lack of understanding, but from a steadfast belief, even though in tough times, and a better, more beautiful world awaits.
Elaine is the kind, hopeful sister.
Yeah.
Not as rough.
Rigid.
Not as rigid. Doesn't have such a rough exterior like the other two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's the sweet,
right.
sister. And Nesta, did you like her at first? No.
I still don't like her. I know we're not wrong.
Well, truly, yes. I kind of feel the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like Feyre either.
Yeah.
I don't like her in the first book.
Okay.
Do you like her in the first book?
I don't like her for the first half. I do start to like her towards the end.
I do root for her in the end, but I don't like her character, her personality.
Yeah. So essentially, Feyre is out in the woods and she is hunting because that's what she does.
Right.
She comes across this huge wolf thing, right?
A big old wolf.
And she's like...
in the forest. She's in the forest.
In the forest.
And she's hunting and she comes across the wolf and then you have to remind me, I don't remember.
So she can kind of... She recognizes like this might not be
a regular wolf. Yeah.
She kind of gets the sense that maybe this is like part of the fairy world,
because
land.
Okay, so where her family lives, it's like the bottom of an island, like the south part of an island, like the southern coast of an island, and like 90% of the island north, right, is all fairylands, and it's like this little strip of land at the bottom of the island that's just all human lands. So there's a wall that there's a wall that divides the two lands, and neither one can cross into the other. Except this time she's thinking, hey, this might be a fairy wolf from the other side. So she shoots.
Because she has a special arrow that's made of ash, right?
Ashwood,
yeah.
That kills fairies, supposedly.
Yeah. And I don't think she's necessarily thinking of anything except, like, this could sell, like, really well.
Right.
Like, I don't think she's, like...
Oh, I don't think she's malicious.
She doesn't have any, like, motive.
Does she not... I thought they were all afraid of fairies.
Yeah.
They are afraid of them, but she doesn't, like, hate them.
Exactly. Okay. I think her motive here is, like, I'm just trying to provide for my family. Right. So she goes, she kills the wolf, she skins it, right? Or no?
Yeah, she
takes like the fur.
Yeah.
She goes to sell it at a market, yada yada yada. Then she's back chilling at her house. They're just having a relaxing night in their shack.
Just a regular old house
and
night.
Wait, Tamlin comes, but he's in beast form, right?
He's in beast mode.
Isn't he in beast mode?
No, he is.
He's in beast mode. Yeah, he like...
So it's just a regular night at the house?
Yeah, at the... I don't know their last name.
Archeron household. Yeah.
And this beast shows up at the door.
Kicks in the front door. Just like bursts in. And we're like, whoa, who's this guy?
Yeah. And he's like, okay, you killed one of my guys.
Yeah.
One of my friends. So I can either kill you or you can come be my slave, essentially. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Feyre, of course, well, she wanted her top priority was to protect her family.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, don't hurt my family. I'll go with you. Don't kill me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think her plan was, okay, I'll go with him and I can always escape back home.
She'll find a way out. Yeah.
So she goes.
And then, wait, I'm confused because I know it's revealed eventually that he's been taking care of her family. Does he say that to her? The beginning when they make that? Oh, it's later on.
It's later in the book.
Okay. So she doesn't know until later.
She doesn't know because she's always worried about her family. And then he's like, well, don't worry. Like
they're taken care of. Yeah. So she gets to the, what is it? What is it called?
Spring Court?
Spring Court. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What?
So there's different courts.
Oh, right. We didn't even talk. So the book is called A Court of Thorns and Roses. And each... in the fairylands, so like north of the wall, there are several courts. 7? There are 7 courts? Let's try to name them all without looking it up.
Oh.
Starting with Spring Court, which is Tamlin's court.
Yeah.
Spring Court.
Autumn Court.
Summer Court.
Winter. Then we have Dawn. Dusk. No.
Dawn. Day.
Yeah. Night.
That's 7.
Oh, then we're good, right?
It's the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Summer, spring, spring, winter, autumn. And then the 3-day. Oh, I forget what they're solar courts, I think, which is day or dawn, day, and night.
Yeah.
So those are all the courts.
And then there's like a secret place.
We'll get to that later.
So Tamlin is the High Lord of Spring Court. And let me read Tamlin's little bio.
Okay.
The High Lord of the Spring Court and Feyre's love interest, spoiler alert. Like Feyre, Tamlin carries the weight of a duty he never expected or pursued. Though he initially seems beastly, he offers Feyre a level of peace, care, and protection she's never known. Raised with a father and brothers who were cruel to humans and kept them as slaves, Tamlin stands firm in his opposition to this sort of treatment. He is determined to be kind and fair, showing Feyre and her family extraordinary generosity.
Okay, so when we first meet him, kind of a mean guy.
Yeah.
Or at least seemingly, like, because he steals Feyre away. And then, well, he takes her to Springcourt, takes her to his mansion.
It's very much Beauty and the Beast.
It's giving Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And he is, I mean, that is his power, is he has this ability to shapeshift into beast mode, which makes him very deadly, very powerful. And then Feyre knows this about him, and so she goes to the mansion, and she just lives there, I guess, right? And
yeah, nothing's really like expected of her.
She's kind of just like a prisoner, but not like a prisoner, because like she has her own room. It's very Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, she's free to like roam the lands.
She befriends the maid, Alice.
Yeah. And Lucien.
And
do you
have a character for him?
And I guess this will tell me. He's second in command and a close friend to Tamlin. Lucien, is that how you say it?
I heard it pronounced Lucian.
Yeah. Okay. Was a member of the Autumn Court, but was forced to flee to the Spring Court when his brothers and father threatened his life. Lucian is steadfastly loyal to Tamlin, but he nevertheless has the ability to speak truth and power. He has a sarcastic edge and a biting sense of humor. He understands Tamlin's desperate need to protect Feyre and Prythian.
Prythian is the island.
Okay. Yeah. And will do anything he can to help.
Yeah.
So I feel like him and Feyre,
I do like their relationship.
Bond
Lucian
first.
and Feyre become friends. They're like pals. Because Tamlin, I feel like he's like the grumpy, like, old beast guy.
Yeah.
And then these two are just like his sidekicks.
Yes. You know? Yeah. And I like their relationship a lot. I like their back and forth. I think is fun. And so slowly over time, like, you can kind of feel the attraction between
there's some heat
between Feyre and Tamlin kind of start brewing. And so what were your thoughts on this relationship, or like on Tamlin, like their love interest?
Right. I'm putting myself back into book one Kris.
Yes.
And book one Kris was all about it.
Oh my God.
I was shipping it.
Same.
Shipping. That scene, I can't remember, it's like in the middle of the book where it's one of the festivals. They have a lot of festivals in the Fairylands. And
with the flute.
The flute?
And the dancing.
What?
The fairy wine?
Yes, I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
And Tamlin's like, oh, I also can play the flute. And so he busts out the flute.
Hannah, I don't remember this.
Oh my God. Okay, so he's like, it's a very like, that's kind of the night where you're like, ooh, you're like starting to connect, right? And so he's like, I also can play the flute. He plays the flute, and Feyre is drunk off of fairy wine, and she starts dancing around.
Oh, I remember her dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's playing the flute.
Oh, I didn't realize that was why. I forgot Tamlin was a musician. I'm thinking about he takes her somewhere like
to the pond.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just remember they were in the water together, and I was like, okay, go on.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah. I'm turning the pages. Was that the first time they kissed? I don't remember if they kissed.
I don't think they kissed there.
But I was shipping it hard because I was like, okay, you got this hot beastly guy and then this young woman, and there's an attraction there, and they're both gonna like work together to save the world, right? And I thought that's what the story was gonna be.
Right.
So, and that's basically what the story is in book one, right?
And then like Kris said, there's like a ton of festivals. And there's one that was like really weird called the Rite, I think, right?
The ritual or something.
It's like a ritual where like the High Lord essentially goes feral.
Crazy.
Like animal instincts. And then based on a smell, chooses.
So in this during I forget what it's called. Okay, look it up while I talk about it. Okay, so it's basically this ritual in Spring. I can't remember if it's just Spring Court or if it's all of the courts.
I think it's all around.
It's all the courts. Yeah. So at least in Spring Court, the entire court like goes to this one location. Yeah,
it's called the Great Rite.
The Great Rite. And they go to this one special location in the land. It's like I don't know if it's a cave or what. and all of the people, it's like, imagine just like a giant like Renaissance fair.
Yeah.
and they're all there for one reason, and the reason is the High Lord. It's because of like some mystical.
Yeah, it
like,
says
oh,
here.
Go ahead.
I just Googled it.
Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, each High Lord must perform the Great Rite, which consists in allowing powerful magic to enter their bodies and seize control of them, causing the High Lord to attempt to find the maiden and have sex with her to release magic that will spread through the lands and allow crops to grow.
Okay, so it's a very like agricultural based ritual where it's like the High Lord, basically all the women line up, right? Well, I think all the High Lords are male right now, right? So all these women line up, and then the High Lord, based on the scent
it's a
or
smell,
something, chooses one of these women to go, and they have sex in this like special cave, and like the magic that's released from their joining, from their mating, is like powers the land, and like the crops grow and the land like thrives. Yeah,
and so Tamlin's like, Feyre, you can't come to this, and she has no idea.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
she has no idea
She's
why.
She's like, you have to stay home.
Yeah,
everyone else is going to this festival. You have to stay home.
And so she ends up sneaking there.
Because she's like, I have to go.
Yeah, but she has to hide because no one knows.
Because no one knows that she's human. Yeah, she's the only human there. Yeah.
So she's kind of like undercover, and
by the way, like if she's found out as a human, she'll most likely get killed because fairies don't like humans.
Yes.
Okay, go.
So I think she like starts to get approached by somebody. He's not a character, but he like starts to like try something with her, and she ends up running into.
This was my. Go ahead.
She ends up running into one of the main characters.
This was the moment where I was like, forget everything else that's happening. Talk about this guy. Yeah. I want to read about this guy. And his name is Rhysand. Rhys for short.
Yeah. And wow. So she backs up into him on accident.
I want to find the line. You keep talking.
Yeah. He essentially like saves her from this guy who's trying to,
I think he was like trying to like roofie her or something.
Yeah. And he said like, I've been looking for you. Right? That's what he says.
Oh, so he plays the old like, rom-com trope, like, oh, there you are, like to save her from this guy. Yeah.
And so they have like, that's really the only interaction for now. Is like she runs into him. She says like he's the most beautiful.
That's the line I was trying to find.
Like the most beautiful.
I don't know where
man,
it is. Okay, I don't know, but
the most beautiful man she's ever seen. And it's a very short interaction, but you're like, I know that he is coming back. Like, there's no way.
It was like he was on. To borrow from a film or TV, he was on screen for like 2 minutes,
literally,
and it was like he's the most beautiful man she's ever seen, and he was so mysterious, and he saves her from this dude, and then he just like vanishes into the night, and I'm like, bring him back, and let's talk about that guy.
Yes, I know.
So he was my favorite character, even from book 1. Yeah, my favorite character.
Yeah.
So
she goes back to the castle.
Yeah.
And
it's a castle?
Or whatever, wherever they live.
Okay.
And then Tamlin comes back, finds out that like she was there because he could smell her. And this is the first steamy scene because he throws her up against the wall and says like pretty much like, you wouldn't have been able to handle me in this form. And I was like blushing like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I wouldn't be able to handle you either, Tamlin. This is a lot.
And so then a couple of days, I don't know if it's days, weeks, whatever, but our magical Rhys.
Oh, Rhys comes back. Yes.
With how do you say her name?
Amarantha.
Let me give you
But she's not there.
No, but let me give you Rhys's character profile. Go. So Rhys is the High Lord of the Night Court, beautiful and clever. Rhys maintains a great deal of power because he serves Amarantha. Rhys makes no attempt to hide his hatred of humans. He is a keen manipulator who knows how to play power games in Prythian. Though at first he seems like the novel's villain, his true motivation is a deep desire to protect his people.
Amarantha is like the evil queen who's like taken over the land, and she like put a curse on the land or whatever.
So she also is determined to force Tamlin to be her lover. So
she is?
Yeah, that's her main motive.
Oh.
Yeah. She wants to eliminate any creature that gets in her way of that.
Okay. I didn't remember that, but okay.
So Rhys appears at Tamlin's house and can sense that there's a human there.
Yeah.
And he goes into Freya. He has an ability where he can goes into people's minds, right? And he can literally like shatter your brain.
Yeah, he has very powerful telepathic abilities.
Yeah. So
he's there at the house.
Yeah, and he kind of he can sense that there's a human there. He interrogates Feyre. He goes into her brain. And then Tamlin gets worried because he knows that Rhys is gonna tell
Amarantha that there's a human there.
There's a human.
Mm-hmm. His and we don't know this, but like his love, right?
Yes, okay. Yeah. And so I think that's why, because Amarantha would want to know, because she would want Feyre out of the picture,
right? To get with Tamlin,
she could be with Tamlin.
Yeah.
So Feyre ends up giving Rhys a fake name.
Oh yeah.
Paige. R.I.P. Paige.
It's Paige? I thought it was Claire.
Oh, Claire. Where did I get Paige from?
I don't know.
Paige.
Did you just say like another white girl's name?
Probably.
I thought it was Claire.
Claire, yeah.
Claire something.
Yeah.
Which is a girl in her village, her old village.
So Amarantha's people end up
going to her village,
killing her entire family,
looking for a girl named Claire.
Yeah.
So they find her, and this like innocent girl and her family like get murdered.
So yeah, they murder her family and take Claire back to
Amarantha's like lair or whatever.
And torture that girl.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Girl. Yeah.
So anyway, before we get to that part, Tamlin gets freaked out and is like, yo, Feyre, you got to go back to the human world. It's not safe for you here.
Yeah.
They end up banging.
The night before she leaves to go back to the human world. Yes.
And wow.
That was the first sex scene.
Yeah.
Between them. And the first one that I have read in a book.
Yeah.
In a published novel.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't realize people wrote this stuff, you know?
It's so much more intimate than just like watching it in a movie.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of detail.
The way that things are described.
Yeah. You never think to describe something, you know? You never think to describe
a penis like that.
No, I'm saying just like certain things about like the human anatomy. You're like, oh, never thought about it like that. But yeah,
that's a word you chose. Yeah.
So
very steamy, very passionate.
But then she ends up going back.
Yes, she goes back to the human land.
Right below, south of the wall.
And she decides, like, she's in love with Tamlin, obviously.
Yeah.
And
this is when she finds out that her family had actually been living. Yeah. Tamlin had given them a bunch of money and had, like, wiped their memories so they didn't know what happened to Pharaoh or whatever. So they're, like, living in this huge mansion now. They're rich. And Pharaoh comes back. And
she realizes, like, no, I have to go back and I have to help.
Yeah, because I think at this point Amarantha had like taken over and had taken people prisoners.
Had taken Tamlin and had kind of like has been drugging him a little bit, or like has him under some spell where he's not himself. So she knows she has to go back. Yeah. So she makes her way back
because she realized that she loves.
She loves.
Does she realize that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she doesn't say it.
I know, but he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she goes back, and that's when Amarantha decides, like, I'm going to have this trial.
Yeah, this is kind of just getting to the climax of the novel.
Honestly, and when we got to this part and, like, going through these, like, 3 trials that Amarantha puts her through, I was like...
You're in it.
I was scared. Like, there were some parts I was like, oh, my God, this is brutal.
She puts her through these 3 challenges, and it was like a false promise, but it's like if you beat these like 3 things, then like you win or whatever.
You
like,
win and like you get Tamlin. Yeah. And but she does also say if you can solve this riddle, then you just have Tamlin. Oh, and I forgot what the riddle was, but
I don't remember, but I think the answer was love. Which is like, all right.
Okay. But essentially she's like locked up in this dungeon and it's almost like Harry Potter Goblet of Fire.
Which part?
Like they compete she has to compete in these,
the
like,
yeah.
So like the first trial, she has to defeat this like huge worm.
Yeah.
The second trial, she has to.
Was that the reading one?
Yeah. Oh, she can't read.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler
By the
alert,
way,
she can't
Feyre
read.
is illiterate.
Yeah. But during this trial, we get a lot of more interactions with her and Rhys. So he's kind of like coaching her through it.
Right. So in between each of the trials, she's like gets put in the prison or the dungeon or whatever. And Rhys visits her in between the trials to like coach her.
And because she's in the prison, like she's not being fed. She has a lot of injuries. There's no doctors that are like helping her heal.
Yeah.
So Rhys can heal her, and he makes a deal with her. If I heal you, then you have to promise that once you're out of here, you come and visit me, or you have to come stay with me
every
a week
month
of the month.
Once a month for a week.
Yeah.
You have to come to night court.
Yeah, be like, I don't know, a slave.
Kind of. Yeah.
And so she agrees to it, and it ends up giving her these like tattoos on her arm.
Yeah, when they make the deal, these like magic tattoos appear on her arm to like seal the deal.
Yeah. So in this reading one, she can't read, but because she has these tattoos, he's able to communicate with her through
telepathically.
These tattoos, like what she should choose. So she ends up getting it through the second one, and then the third one is just brutal.
Remind me what it was.
What
Amarantha.
the fuck is her name? She puts out. She's like, you have to kill all of these fairies in front of you in order to get to Tamlin.
In fairy society, there's like the higher noble fairies, like high fairies, and then like the lower fairies, which are like just more normal fairies.
Yeah. So there are 3 fairies that have a hood over their faces, so she doesn't know who it is. She has to kill all 3 of them in order to win and get Tamlin. Yeah. So she's going through it, and the whole it's very tense.
It's very tense.
Like her the way it was written, I thought was really good.
They give her this magic knife or whatever that kills
that will
fairies.
Kill. And right before she goes to stab, they take the hood off, so she has to look
them in the eye.
And she ends up getting to the 2. She
kills the first 2,
and then they remove the third one, and it's Tamlin.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "What the fuck?" And she has this realization that, what is it?
I don't remember this part.
This is like a big part.
Something about his heart.
His heart is
like strong or something. It's like made of like stone. I thought.
She realizes that if she stabs him, she's actually not going to kill him. It won't kill him.
Right.
So she does it, and then all hell breaks loose, and Amarantha
attacks
Feyre. And Feyre essentially ends up dying, but she can still like see what's going on because of this bond she has with Rhys. So she can hear, everyone kind of being tortured, being like fighting, and Tamlin like sobbing over her. But Tamlin isn't really doing anything to protect her. Rhys is the only one that tries to protect her. And they end up being able to save Feyre because all of the High Lords.
So they kill Amarantha. They beat all the bad guys, and at the end, Feyre is still technically like dead. So all the High Lords, because of her sacrifice, they're like, oh, like she helped break this curse of Amarantha, so we will revive her with our powers. So all the High Lords, like I forget how they do it. They do like a drop of magic.
Yeah.
They do like they give her a drop of their magic, and then she comes back to life. And then Tamlin's happy, and everyone.
So it ends of like she goes back to Spring Court with Tamlin. But you can tell she's like not the same because she just killed 2 people. She's had to go through all those trials.
Like psychologically, very traumatized.
Traumatized. She has this deal with this.
This other mystery guy.
Where like she has to go now. So that's kind of where you leave off on book 1, and it's like
very exciting. It's very exciting because even at the end, they beat the bad guys and they win in the end, but also like there's all these loose threads. Where it's like, okay, you have to spend this time at night court, and then you're like also like a broken person because you like had to do all this stuff, like you had to endure all this suffering, and at the same time you're physically really not. Did they reveal it that she's a fairy now? Okay, so when the High Lords revive her, they actually changed her anatomy, and now she's High Fae is what they call it. So
she looks different.
She's like basically like a superhuman now, not unlike Not Bella. Yeah, I was like, what's her name? Bella.
Literally, yeah.
Right?
No,
when
literally.
she turns into a vampire.
Yeah,
so it's like that. She's like strong and fast and like beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I remember when that book ended, I was so mad. I think I even texted
which book?
you. The first book.
The first book.
I think I texted you like, oh, like I don't like Rhys. Like I'm Team Tamlin. Like I think I said like I'm annoyed at this love triangle. Like let her just be with Tamlin.
Right.
That's where I ended.
I felt the same way because I was like, obviously she's gonna be with Tamlin.
Yeah.
So just let her be. But also in the back of our minds, we're like, but Rhys, we can't get him out of our mind.
I know.
You know.
So that's the first book.
That's book 1.
And you obviously we loved it because we've kept going in this series. But I'm just really excited.
This series was kind of like a slow burn for me and a sleeper series because it's like after I read the first one, I was like, okay, whatever. It was nothing special. But then Kaylee made me read the second book, and I was like, okay, I'll read the second book.
And the second book is so good.
The second book I didn't like. I think the second half of book 2 is when I actually started liking Feyre.
Yeah.
There was this, and when we get there, I'll talk about it. There's a specific scene where I was like, oh, I like Feyre now. This is it.
Yeah, because right now it's like, yes, she's brave, and yes, like the action she took, but she is kind of annoying too.
She's super annoying. Like kind of, she's like a negative person.
Yeah.
And I get it, like her upbringing and like all the things that she, even before going to the fairyland, she had to endure a lot, right? So I get it. But also like, girly,
I know.
Like go to therapy or something. You know? Like I just kind of whiny.
Yeah.
And then her family kind of suck. Not Elaine, but Elaine's the only good one.
Yeah.
And then Nesta's mean, and her dad sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like
I know.
I don't really like you guys. You're not. You like give me something to root for.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I was rooting for her during the trials because it's like you want the main character to win, like to beat the bad guys. So I was rooting for her there, and I like the Rhys. It's like the author was like, I'm just gonna pepper in a little bit of Rhys.
I'm just gonna get this guy in your mind, and then we'll circle back.
Yeah, like don't think about him too much right now. He's gonna come back later.
Yeah.
So
I really like, and I'm sure you're a writer, so you probably have like when you read, like you might be looking at things differently or with a different perspective than I am. But I really like how she built this world and the way that she kind of explained it. It really made me feel like I could picture it.
Very immersive.
Yeah. And even with the trials, especially, like I really liked how she did that because I genuinely was like my heart was like going. And I don't know if like it's because I haven't really read a book like this. Like other people might be like, oh, it was lame. I don't know. But those were just the emotions that I got.
No, it's good that you brought up just from a writing perspective. Yeah. Overall, I think the books get better. Like the writing gets better. This first book was okay for me, like on a writing level, but yes, I will say that's one of the things that I do like about the series is the world building is very good. World building is very immersive, and you really get sucked into the fairy lands and just like the characters. So she does a very good job of that. Even if you're not like so into the story, it's like, okay, I'm in this world. Like this is where I'm in, you know.
And I feel like books, like fantasy books, can be very intimidating for people. At least for me, like they do kind of scare me because I almost feel like you have to know. It's a lot of information. Yeah, you have to like know like the lingo and all of that. But
no, I think she made it pretty easy.
I was gonna say, like, if you're interested, like I feel like this is a very good intro into like
entry level. She made it very accessible.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're interested, we don't just spoil the entire book, but of course we we missed a lot of details. There's a lot more like lore, and like history, and things that were.
This is a very like surface level
left out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're interested, I highly recommend. Like, don't be intimidated by the fairy side of it, the fantasy side of it. Like, it's
and don't be intimidated by the romantic side of it.
Girlie, do not be intimidated by the smut. Okay. Enjoy that smut. But yeah, I like that we're doing this series finally.
I think, and this will motivate us to finish book 5.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily have like a schedule for this. We're kind of just gonna drop them maybe like once a month. We'll see how it goes. But we would love to hear your feedback if you read this book. Let us know your thoughts, and then also like if you have any theories for like future books that you want to share with us, then
because she's not finished with the series. She's still writing,
and we can share them on the pod. Like, so we're going to be covering the second book, which is A Court of Mist and Fury next. So if you have any feedback you want to share about those,
maybe we can do like an Instagram thing.
Yeah, we'll do like a little story where you can share them with us. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. And then we can share them on the next episode. Okay, good.
Because I have a lot of friends that are really into this book.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm curious to hear their thoughts.
Perfect.
But this is fun.
Excellent.
A little book club. Roomie book club.
Roomie book club.
I love it.
That's the bell.
That's that bell. Hey, girl.
Thank you so much for listening. We're still here. We're still sticking around. We're doing these episodes for you, and we love it. Message us on Instagram, TikTok. We used to live together at gmail.com is the email. I think it's very important to do the ratings. I think that helps the pod get in front of other people, in front of more people, so we can keep doing the apps for them. Final thoughts.
Read this book. Read this book. If there's a 500-year-old, if you see a 500-year-old wolf roaming roaming in the woods, just kill it. You could be taken to a magical land.
I think lean into some romance, lean into some fantasy, and I think as the series progresses, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
So until next time, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
Bye.